announcements. For those of you who maybe in the future are thinking about becoming a candidate, the Sacramento Libertarian Party is hosting a candidate training on February 9th, which is this Sunday, I believe, from 8:30 to 5 p.m. Janine Claus, raise your hand. She has the flyers. They're these blue ones, so check them out. And also, the Center for Self-Governance, they're going to be hosting self-governance classes. And they're going to have these on February 8th or Tuesday, February the 11th. And their mission statement is teaching individuals to keep their republic by rediscovering and effectively exercising their civic authority. And these are classes really to teach you how to get involved to be politically effective. And so if you can check any of these out, we would appreciate it. Being involved in politics is great, but in all reality, politicians care about two things: political pain and political pleasure. And if you can learn to cause your representative pain, you will learn to win. And I think these classes will teach you how to win and be effective. Now, I did get some requests for a Q&A. Does anybody have any questions they would like to ask? Yes?
Yes, Manuel, can you tell us about your professional background before you became a candidate?
Okay, so before I became a candidate, I went over this a little bit in my speech, but yes, I worked on a farm, got a degree in business management. I started a jelly company. Right now I work for Hewlett-Packard. My technical title is a field tech engineer. Now what that means in layman's terms is I fix computers. But that does not mean I'm going to fix yours. Because I work on business PCs, not personal PCs, so the type of architecture I'm used to is different from yours. That's a little bit about me. I've spent many, many years studying United States history, studying philosophy, and studying economics. I feel like if you're going to run for office, one thing you should be fluent in is economics and know how to get an economy thriving. So that's a little bit about me, a little bit about my professional background, I guess. Any other questions? Yes?
And you'll tell us what you think about our beautiful new core program.
Common Core? Yeah, what's Common Core? No, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. So, Common Core. I believe fundamentally to my core that Common Core is illegal. Now why? What are one of the biggest planks I always talk about? I always talk about representation. Well, Common Core. Congress never voted on it. Your state legislature never voted on it. But yet, it's being forced down our throats. So, we had no say in it, and it's going to cost California $2 billion. We signed on to Common Core in 2009. The curriculum came out in 2013, and is still being rolled out. So not only did we get forced something down our throats that our representatives didn't vote for, we didn't even know what it was in. But we had to pass it to know what was in it, right? So I'm against Common Core. I want the federal government out of education for some very basic philosophical reasons. And that's when you have the federal government controlling education, and if they have a bad policy, then everybody in the United States suffers. And because everybody is suffering equally, we might not know that our children's education is suffering. So I want to get the federal government out of education, bring it to the state level where you have competition. So if one state messes up and the children fall behind, well, that state's quickly going to learn a lesson. And they're going to change their policies, and then quickly those children will no longer be falling behind. That's the beauty of federalism. That's how this country's supposed to work. Yes?
I just want to back up your statement. I do agree that government should not be involved in deciding what is best for the schools. They should have teachers, administrators, sit down and discuss. But even before Common Core, they should not have had the other program. Because in theory, No Child Left Behind, many children are left behind.
Yeah,
I know this because I work at this school.
I know you do. And this is not something that falls on the shoulders of the Democrat Party. The Republicans did the same thing. President Bush had his signature education reform. And then Obama had one. Now he's got another one. So, once again, our battle is for liberty. It's not necessarily to get a flood of Republicans elected. Look, if there was a Democrat that truly stood for freedom and liberty and had some sound principles, I'd vote for him. I just don't see one. And that's a shame, because I think all candidates on all parties should stand for the principles that made America flourish. Any other? Yes?
A lot of discussion nowadays about an Article 5 constitutional convention, and that would be called by state legislatures. Do you have a position on that?
I think you should always be careful of constitutional convention, but the Article 5 is not a traditional constitutional convention. It's different. So I would be in favor of it, and I would love to participate in it and see if we could eliminate the income tax and the IRS. That would be my goal, to get into that constitutional convention, fight to eliminate the income tax, fight to eliminate the death tax, because that's just despotic, and get rid of the IRS. So yeah, I'm in favor of it. Especially, I'm not in favor of a general one, but the Article 5, the way it's structured, I like that. Yes?
Manuel, I'm very impressed by all these books you displayed on that table over there. Are these books, did you write them, or you read them, or what?
I wish I wrote them. God, I wish I wrote them. No. I've read all of those books, and those are my favorite books, so the majority of those I've read twice. The reason I brought those is because I want you to know who I am. I want you to know how I think. I want you to know what has influenced me. You know, my opponent, Jim Cooper, he has no issues on his website. Here he is running for assembly, doesn't even tell you what he stands on, anything. And that's sad, because you guys deserve to know where your future representatives stand. Absolutely. So. Any other questions? Yes?
Gun control. Gun control.
I'm sorry, are you saying people control? Oh, gun control, okay. Yeah, I mean, look, a gun is an inanimate object. You can't control something that's going to lay there. So I don't believe in gun control because I don't believe in people control, and since people wield guns, I don't believe in controlling people. That's about it. Look, if our founding fathers wanted us to be less armed than our superiors in government, then they would have said the people have the right to bear bow and arrows. The right to bear a bow and arrow shall not be infringed. But the fact is, they didn't. We have the right to bear arms. And you have a right to your self-defense. That's the whole point of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is not so you can go hunting. It's not so you can shoot your government, as some people like to say. It's for self-defense. And it doesn't matter who you're defending yourself against. You have the natural right to be free, to protect your life, liberty, and property. And government should not be taking that right to self-defense. Yes?
What do you think the biggest issues are between you and Cooper?
Everything? Okay, so in my race, I think it's fair to say that there are more than just me and Jim Cooper. I like to pick on Jim Cooper because he's the Democrat that has a website up. The other Democrat doesn't even have a website up. I mean, and he's out there raising money. That's what the other party is like. And, you know, the Republicans aren't perfect either. But between me and Jim Cooper, like I said, he doesn't have any issues. I've sent some people to videotape, you know, his speeches. He doesn't speak well. And quite frankly, he doesn't look passionate. I think he just wants to get elected. But I can't really comment too much on Jim Cooper because he doesn't have any issues. So it's hard for me to contrast him other than party identification. Yeah. Yes?
As you go around, what are young people of your age group, what are they concerned about? What do they want you to do for them? So as old people can talk to the young people and understand how to, you know.
Well, I want to tell you where my generation is philosophically, and then I'll answer your question. And this is something the Republican Party really needs to start to understand, is that my generation, we are in two camps. We're in the freedom-loving, constitutional, right to bear arms, leave me the heck alone camp. And then we're in the I love Obama communism camp. There really is not a middle ground. And so I think where we stand is on the freedom side. I think the majority of my generation is there. The fact is you have a lot of kids in college who spend a lot of time on YouTube, and I think they're looking up figures like Ron Paul, the Federal Reserve, Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, Senator Mike Lee. They're looking up the writings of Thomas Jefferson, to some extent George Washington. So what is important to my generation? Through exercising those liberties they believe in, they want to be able to go to college and then get a good job. And it's hard for them to get a good job when Obamacare is essentially mandating a 30-hour work week. And so in reality, a lot of people in my generation, they go to school, they graduate with this degree, and some of them graduate with useless degrees. But even those that do graduate with useless degrees, they still did go to college and show that they are committed, and once they put their mind to something, they can't do it. They want a job. And so I think it's my job as a candidate and other candidates and elected officials to show them that the way to get a job, or the way that the economy is going to provide more employment, is really to let the economy be free and allow them to flourish.
I'm curious about a culture that puts this paradigm for our young people that they want to get a job. I'm curious about that. I'm curious about what happened to the entrepreneurial spirit of America, and maybe you can comment on that.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to. So, America was founded on what I like to say unapologetic freedom and property rights. So nowadays, you go to work, and let's say someday in the future you want to start a business. So you need to save money. Well, I think it's hard to save money when 30 to 40% of your paycheck is taken out before you even get a chance to see it. Here's an example. $600 gets taken out of my paycheck every single month. You know what that means? That means I pay my mortgage twice, because my mortgage costs me $600 a month. I have a house that's worth $600 a month, but yet I pay $1,200. Now, it's hard for me to save money, to be an entrepreneur, to start a job, and be prosperous when a third or a fourth of my paycheck is disappearing. The fact is, capitalism only works when people have capital to invest in the first place. We have economic regulations that are making it difficult for people to be entrepreneurs if they are lucky enough to save up capital to invest in the first place. So I think that entrepreneurial spirit is being crushed by the weight of government.